now. Welcome to the Year of Being 70 podcast with me, Lucy McCarraher, and Lisette Schoutemaker.
Hello, that is me in Amsterdam
And
because I'm Dutch.
today, hello, yeah, you are Dutch, yes, and I am in the UK. And today we also have in the UK Ceril Campbell, who is also in the year of being 70. And Ceril and I were actually at school together. Lisette and I, as you all know, knew each other from a young age. So I'm going to ask Ceril to tell us about your life, your business journey, because we're here today to talk about style, fashion, perhaps
Clothing,
clothing,
how we like to dress, how we need to adapt, cover up a little more
or not.
or not,
So
and
Ceril,
golden
welcome.
tips.
Yes, tips. It's lovely to have you here. So fill everybody in on what you've done all your life. Fascinating stuff.
So, what do I do now? I help women to look and feel their best from inside out. So, I realized from everything I've done before, which I'll talk about in a second, where I got to now. So, everything I do now became from understanding from women, never came to me about that they had nothing to wear, the dress, they couldn't find a dress. It was all about how they felt about themselves, how they perceived themselves, how others perceived them, and how they would like others to perceive them. So those three things I always
But
ask my
that's what
clients as
what
well.
what dressing is about, right? Every
Uh,
day, every morning, it's like, who am I going to meet? How do I feel? What makes me feel comfortable and well, and what also conveys who I am?
exactly. It's who are you? Who are we? And who do we want others to think we are? It's like the first
Yeah,
impression thing, isn't it? You get one
yeah.
chance to give the first impression. So how did I get to helping women look and feel their best in a lifestyle, not life coach, but helping from inside out? So I've always worked in fashion and style in some way. I started life as fashion design, buying, all of that. So I did a degree in fashion and style and design mixed with the place doesn't exist anymore, was in London School. What was it? I can't even think what it's called now. But anyways, it doesn't exist, but it was part of St. Martin's as well. And then from there, I did everything you could possibly do in fashion, from journalism to design to having my own shops to ending up as a celebrity stylist for 30 years, working with A-list celebrities and also presenting on TV as a style journalist, reporter, commentator, working for the BBC, from Royal Ascot for royal weddings, commentating on Kate and William's wedding for the BBC.
I'm
So
jealous there.
it was quite an impress. It was a moment to remember actually being at Westminster Abbey with all the journalists and TV and actually seeing it as it happened in the
I
reality.
think I hung on to your every word without, having ever met you. So, yeah.
So it's do as I say, never do as I do myself. So,
Yeah.
That's
so that is really how it's all about your personal and your public brand. So when I was styling celebrities, it was about their public brand, but also it was about how they felt about themselves. So even though they might have been wearing something on the red carpet, or maybe they were promoting a new record album, song, whatever, it was actually what they wanted the public to believe about this what the music, what audience they wanted for that particular song at that time, or what they wanted them the audience, the public to believe on a movie or their
Yeah.
personal branding. And it's the same with us, our personal branding. What do we want others to think of us when they see us, whether it's business, personal, or social? It's the same way as
And
when
is
you're
that a
going on a
question?
date.
What is like the first question when women come to you and say, please, please, Cyril, give me advice. What are the questions that you ask?
So it's, I don't ask to start with, I wait for people to talk to me.
Uh-huh.
And as they get to trust me, more comes out. I work with intuition as much. So I hear what people don't say between the
Ah.
lines very much. So very often people will say to me, how did you know that? I just hear. I
Yeah.
read beneath their lines. So very often, so women will often come to me at pivotal moments of their life. So we're talking starting from post-baby. So when you suddenly you need to find yourself again because your life has been all about that baby, and you've lost yourself. Menopause, a change of life altogether. So that could be divorce, bereavement, reaching a pivotal birthday, which is your podcast. But for me, reaching 70 was quite a pivotal moment because with another zero, suddenly you question your life. And you know how we talk about empty nest syndrome. I don't believe I believe that age is just a number, and particularly because we're talking about clothes and style, you dress how you feel. It's not specifically because you're 60, 70, whatever. You never want someone to dress as mutton dressed as lamb, but you want someone to express their personality. If you know what I mean by Iris Apfel, who died recently, age 102, I think.
Fantastic. Amazing.
Absolutely amazing.
Wonderful.
So she was all about color and expression and expressing her
100
personality.
bracelets and huge, no, she was, of course, an icon, but she'd lived, with fabrics and not so much in fashion, I think, more in,
But it was so much, it was about
yeah.
expressing yourself. Where was I
Yeah.
going in that? I was going about that it isn't about a number your age. However, when you get two pivotal zeros on your age, you question everything in the same way as when you get to empty nest syndrome, particularly, and then you question everything, or maybe divorce and you need to rethink your life. I think at 70, however young you feel or look, or whatever you're doing, you still start to question because you're in the second, not even the second, you're in the third part of your life. You're post midlife, and you do question what
We
you
are
want.
post midlife, Lucy.
That's the one, isn't it?
And I
Yes.
think, yeah.
That's what we were sort of talking about a couple of episodes ago, that 70 is really quite significant because it is after the kind of
50.
official retirement age. So, it really puts you, I mean, I think from, when you're 40, that's quite, you become potentially middle-aged, even if you don't feel middle-aged or look middle-aged, it's sort of, that's what people tend to,
40
40.
already.
Well,
No.
I know, it doesn't feel like that anymore. That seems incredibly young to us now. But then when even 60, I think you're still in the kind of the middle life, kind of area. But when you get to 70, you really are, as you say, Ceril, in the third
I
phase of
think it
life.
just, the word
Third
shocks
act.
me. I don't
Yeah.
shock myself so much when I'm on a daily basis. It's just to say when someone says, "How old are you?" and then you go, "Oh," but I am not into being. I'm very pro being whoever you are and whoever you want to be at whatever age you are. Age is purely a number.
It is
Absolutely.
a number, but it's also, I mean, the body changes. I mean, it's really a different number than being 10 or 20.
The
I mean, the
numbers on my
body
tape measure
changes.
have changed.
What?
The numbers on my tape measure have changed. That's
Yes.
Well, that is another reason women come to me when their body shapes have changed. And so it isn't so much they've got nothing to wear, but they do not know how to dress for their body shapes. And
I recognize that.
in my tips, it's about understanding your body shape, your specific body shape, and dressing for that. Yes, you can have little, you can use trends, but the trend doesn't need to dress you. You need to dress to attract to your best bits and detract from your bits you like least. And then some women will go, I don't have any best bits. Well, we've all got something somewhere that we can find that is good about ourselves. And I want my clients to look in the mirror and love themselves, not necessarily love what they see, but you have to love yourself for someone else to be able to love you. That sounds such an Americanism, isn't it? But it's true. You have to, if you
It
don't
all
like yourself,
starts here. It all starts here.
yeah.
If you're dependent upon the approval of other people, that vat will never fill. We have to feel good about ourselves and what we look like. I often look at the front and I go like, oh, that's rather nice. And then I forget that at the back, it's really a different story there, because this lower part starts to kind of expand a little bit without my volition. And I don't eat more. I exercise more than I used to do ever. But it just happens. So I recognize this adaptation of the wardrobe.
However, you were just talking about the front and the back, not the top and the bottom, but the front and the back. So, although I'm saying we want to express ourselves and dress, be who you want to be, dress how you want to be. You never want someone to be mutton dressed as lamb. And also, when
What does
someone
that mean?
dresses,
I don't
That,
get
yes,
that
I was going to say
expression.
you probably
Mutton
don't
dressed as
recognize that
lamb?
phrase.
what it means is, so say if someone's dressing too young, but you only see them from the back view, and someone looking for the back goes, gosh, they look fabulous, but then you suddenly get to the front and there's a bit of a shock because
Oh yeah,
suddenly
yeah,
the
yeah,
face
yeah.
is not
Mutton dressed
matching
as
the
lamb. What a nice
expectation
expression.
from the back. You want the you want the back to match the front.
I have no children, but I've asked my niece, and my niece is to say, if you ever see me dressed too young, tell me, because I might have a blind spot here or there.
But I think that's one of the things we worry about, isn't it? When we get to perhaps our age, or perhaps younger, that you really don't. That's a particular kind of worry for women. I think that you don't want to show up looking as if you're trying too hard, or you haven't realized that you've aged. You want to. I mean, you want to look cool. You want to look stylish, but you don't want to look as if you're kind of trying to be your own daughter kind of thing.
Well,
Um,
first thing is I'm just going to pick up on the try too hard. To me, being stylish is looking like you haven't tried. I don't
right.
mean literally just got out of bed like sloppy, but actually looking as whatever you threw on, it's got some attitude, but it didn't look like you spent hours dressing in front of a mirror. Um, so Kate Moss has always, to me, had had style because whatever she threw on, it probably wasn't thrown on, but it looked like it had
Lots and
been
lots of
contrived.
styling there,
Pardon?
I would think. Lots and lots of
But
styling
it
in the
wasn't
pictures that
contrived and
we
spent
saw.
hours being put together into contrived. It's like people who buy designer, but then wear the same designer top to toe. To me, that is not style. To me, style is maybe wearing something from High Street, from I don't know, doesn't matter, from Primark, from H&M, doesn't matter. Mixing it, maybe you might have something from Gucci if you're very lucky. Maybe it might be something from Saint Laurent, doesn't matter. But it's mix and match, cheap, expensive. And if you are wearing predominantly high street, but in a very understated way, with making sure the fabrics are nice, and you are not wearing clothes that you basically want to mix and match and show your own style without over egging the, what's the
But
phrase?
that's also the
Breaking.
creativity of it, right? That's what I like. That every day is like a creation. I can wear the same combinations, but sometimes I say, no, 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 I've worn that. Let me try something else now. And then there's like who am I today? What is today like? What is the weather? Who am I going to meet? What am I going to do? Am I going to walk, or am I going to bike, or am I going to so yeah, to adapt. But that's, yeah, the creativity and the mixing and matching. I like that.
Because color is, you were saying, who am I today? Not I, but who is the person?
Yeah, yeah,
What
no,
am I
who,
today?
yeah,
And so sometimes we can get up and we want to wear color because it makes us feel better. Sometimes we'll put on something and actually take it straight off because actually it does not make us feel good that day.
yeah,
Not because it doesn't fit, it's actually just somehow the wrong color for that day. And color does make a huge difference, whether it's our surroundings or what we wear in our mood.
yeah. So
Interesting.
you've opted for black, Lucy.
I always opt for black. I read somewhere ages ago that Coco Chanel decided at some point in her life that she was only ever going to wear a suit that she designed, and it will be navy blue, and she never wore anything else for the rest of her life. Is that true, Ceril, or is
I
that?
actually don't know, but I did go to the Chanel exhibition at the V&A. So, and there was other colors, but you may well be right.
I think for herself, she designed other things, but
Yes.
obviously, but I've, I feel the same about black. I feel that, I mean, I kind of know what my colors are. I'm a bright winter, so I can wear other colors, obviously. But for me, when I see myself, I think I look best in black. Oh, and it's black with a bit of white and an accent color maybe, but predominantly black, I think suits me best. And so I think, well, why bother to wear anything else when I'm always going to look best in black? So I
You do
do.
look lovely, and I'm going to say on your black though. However, you do have some light, which is
Yeah,
reflecting near your face. You have some jewelry at the neck, and also the collar of your jacket also has some. Is it gold? I can't really
it's sort
see.
of beigey, creamy
Yeah,
kind of.
so it is lifting, and you, Lisette, look lovely too because you've got this lovely, bright, vibrant green, and so it's all about what suits our skin tones, and our skin tones do change as does our hair color as we get older, whatever age. Then
At
there is
30,
another
at
question.
30 it started.
You did go grey very early, didn't you? And
Yes,
you
like
picked.
my mother and my grandmother. And I saw my mother go to the hairdresser so often. And I thought, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to spend time at a hairdresser. So I've kept it gray. When I was 30, then, people would stop me in the street and said, can I have the address of your hairdresser? Because you have such wonderful highlights. And I said, well, this is my hair turning gray. And they wouldn't believe me.
And also you're both very lucky that you've both turned a great tone of grey
Ah,
because
but mine
it
isn't
is
natural. I dye my hair this color.
Here's a revelation.
I mean, I'm mostly white now, but I used to have streaks, whatever you call them now,
highlights.
highlights. And I was blonde for most of my life. I occasionally had periods where I went dark or a bit redder or something, but I mostly preferred to be blonde. But then I started getting too grey for blonde highlights to really, I couldn't, it didn't, never seemed right. So I thought, okay, I think it was about 10 or so years ago, I just decided I'm going to go platinum blonde, which was what the color I sort of still dye my hair, but now it comes out white. So, but I still have patches of grey that I don't particularly like. So I dye my hair this color. And it's probably mostly white, and one day maybe I'll grow it all out and I'll be still be this
Well,
color.
you'll discover what color really is underneath. I
Yes.
mean,
Well, that's what I told women who said, yeah, but if my hair, well, how do you know? You've always dyed it. You have no idea what beauty is, under that mostly kind of poisonous stuff, I would say.
I
We
know.
put
It's
on our
probably
I
hair.
have I have highlights, but I am really lucky. My mother didn't really go. My mother, I think, lived till 91, and she was hardly didn't even go grey till she was like in her late 80s, and
wow.
so I don't really have any. I've got like a couple here and there, but not really. So I'm lucky. I'm lucky. So this is purely hairdresser highlights.
But I'm also lucky. I felt I was in the lineage of my mother and my grandmother, and we turned gray early. And it was now it's not, but it was very distinctive when I was 40 and I had my white hair.
I
I
don't know
really
if you know,
felt
but
great about it.
there was a trend, maybe not so much at this moment again, but there was a trend a little while ago for, hold on, my battery somehow is seeming to run low on my laptop. One sec. Why is that?
Yes, there was a trend, but
There was
Yes,
a trend for girls to dye their hair
yeah.
gray.
grey.
Yes,
But not even
Very
white. It was
funny.
actually grey, wasn't it? It was a
it
sort of
was. Yes.
Yeah.
particular,
So
interesting. That seems to have passed,
but
though.
there's also here's another question which I'm not going to maybe not to discuss, but it's does being gray make you look not you, but can women not want to be gray because they can feel it makes them look older? I'm
Yeah,
being
absolutely.
generic in it.
Yes, I think that is a quite a big question for a lot of women of our sort of age and younger. Is your hair color? I mean, do you need to stick to your younger hair color because that stops you looking older. And but then the question is really, why do we want to look younger? Because that is the sort of big deal, isn't it? I mean, when people, if I tell people I'm 70 and they go, oh my goodness, you don't look 70, they think they're giving me a compliment. And I sort of wonder, why is it so good to be told I don't look my age when actually I'm rather proud of my age? I'm rather pleased
but
that
also
I'm
what kind of
Prouder that we've got to the age because many aren't privileged enough
true.
to
yeah,
reach 70. So we should live, we should be very, very thankful that we've got and being well, hopefully,
yeah,
to this age.
But I think we all
So
have these
gratitude.
images in our head of what 70 looks like, right?
yes,
And it's derived from, for me, it's kind of derived from my mother. What did she and her friends look like at 70? And now I think, my grandmother still dressed very formally in dresses, and my mother had kind of discovered the jacket. She would always wear jackets, even she lived until to be 93. And I dress much more informally. And I think, wow, thank you that trainers are, it's really great for our older feet not to wear those heels, but to wear trainers. And we're very with it with them. So that I'm very grateful for. But I think every generation kind of has to invent what it feels like and looks like to be 70.
I think we were the first generation to not want to dress like our mothers
yeah,
from the 60s. So by the time so we were all born in 54.
Yes.
yes,
So yeah, so we're talking by the time we'd got to the 1970s, we were definitely not looking like our mothers anymore. My mother was very glamorous always. I don't know if you remember my
I do.
mother.
Yes, yes.
She didn't have me till she was in her late 40s. So she was always much older, but no one knew that because she
She
did
didn't have
actually,
you until she was in her late
yeah,
40s?
she lost all their babies before me,
Oh,
miscarried.
and then you came and you
And then I was
lived.
A miracle.
the miracle child.
Wow. Wow.
Oh, lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically she was always much older, but no one would ever have known that from her attitude in life because she was quite eccentric, if would be a word, but she was always definitely glamorous. Yeah, so but our perception of our parents is definitely different from my friends and from my kids' ages, who are in their 30s, and to my friends of all ages, and we will often be wearing I'm not saying the same clothes in the same way, but we will often have the same clothes, the same pair of trousers, or a top that maybe we bought from Zara, worn in a different way. And in fact, going to that subject, some of my biggest views on my posts I didn't never really wanted to be doing fashion on my Instagram. It wasn't about that. However, the posts that have had the most views have been how to wear one skirt 10 different ways,
Ah,
which is
brilliant.
not really what I've been doing, but I've been told actually that has been the most interesting.
Yes, that is
Just thinking
fascinating.
outside the box with the clothes you already have in your wardrobe and thinking how you wear them in a different way.
Yeah,
And
make new
when
combinations and be creative. And because yes, it is sometimes, oh, I wear this with that and then I'm done. But oh, there's so much more is possible there, right?
Because
So I
maybe
think
you
that,
actually don't need to buy new clothes each season to not a whole new wardrobe. You can actually the same shirt or the same trousers or the dress you just wear in an updated way for that year, which brings in the trends. So maybe not so much you said, I don't know how you dress. I can see a lovely top, but I mean for me, I might wear cowboy boots with something which I've had for 20 years, the same cowboy boots. But because they're really very much back in, I'll wear the cowboy boots with a sweater dress. So I'll change it. I'll change it up. I'll switch it up to whatever I see of the trends, but with a little nod to the trend. Not going the full Monty, but just a nod.
That's a very useful tip, I think, actually. You may not see it as a
I do
tip, but I do think that's, yeah, very
because
smart.
as we age, we don't want to wear the whole trend, but
Yeah,
a nod to.
but
yeah.
are there still trends? It,
Others can
I
train
feel
them.
that, it used to be, oh, now this was the trend and the skirt was going up or was midi going down. And now it feels to me like everything is possible. And there's so many different ways that you can, there's not just a one thing coming out of Paris in the shows, right?
Well, we're not talking about like the Christian Dior new look from the
No,
50s.
exactly.
Yeah. But with a clinched waist, but there were definitely trends in the way of, let's say, for example, um, let's talk about jeans, for example. There was a whole trend for the skinny jean.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then we've moved to, let's call it the boyfriend jean, which was more baggy. And at some points, the waist ended at the hip. I mean, it was low slung jean one, and then it went to the waist, and then it was called
Okay.
I think it was called a mum cut jean, and then it's changed again. At the moment, there's a look that's the barrel jean. So yes, there are trends.
Interesting.
So there is.
Completely passed me by, but very interesting. That's
It
about,
doesn't mean
not
you
having
can't.
children. You don't know these things.
But so I think very much. It's all about if you're fully invested in social media, not in having comparison anxiety and comparing yourself to everyone else, and which is why I was saying you need to be secure in yourself. But actually, for the trends, whether we're looking at TikTok trends or trends on Instagram, then actually things that come from that will filter down to the high street, something that's no longer a trend.
Yeah.
They've
Yeah.
moved on.
It's
Years and years
interesting.
and years ago, one of my jobs, and probably one of my favorite jobs before the internet, was being the words were cool hunter, which in essence was a trend researcher. So I was being sent. Now you don't do it because you can just do it on the internet. I was being sent to different places around the world to see what the trends were there on the street and coming back with reports on what the latest trend was, whether it was in Japan or whether it was in Italy or in New York, which was a super cool job.
Super cool job.
It
And it's
was a
also
super cool
interesting
job.
because you say, so it is what people were wearing that was being picked up by the fashion houses so they could supply that.
So we're
It
talking
wasn't
street
them
from the
making the trend, but it
street
was the
to the
street
runway.
making the trend, from the
Yeah, from the
street to
street
the
to the runway.
runway.
And still in a way, when you look at the the fashion shows around the world, and there's the let's call it the different people taking photographs of who's wearing what.
Yeah.
Not so much who's wearing what on the front row, because the front row is now the celebrities being paid to wear the designer's clothes, but it's who's wearing what outside on the street
Yeah. Yeah.
and
There's a whole
what's
thing
the
there.
trend.
Yeah. What I was also remembering, Ceril, is when I had my communications company in the late 80s and early 90s, I would never leave the house or the office without my shoulder pads, right? So it feels like it was, we were kind of proving that we could do what the men could do. And we had these pads to make us big. And I have some of those jackets still left and I kind of come to here, whereas now the shape is like more natural, but
However,
such an
when
interesting
you're
time.
talking about the whole dynasty, as in TV
Yeah,
social
that
series and
too,
that
that
sort of
too.
Joan Collins type that period. However, with the advent of lots of 80s TV streaming, as in Rivals, Jilly Cooper's Rivals, which is 80s, there is a quite a big resurgence to 80s dressing, and also here as well. I'm sure as well in Amsterdam, we have the whole of uh, wearing clothes, upcycling, wearing clothes, buying vintage, buying from charity shops. So
Vintage is a
yes,
big thing, which
so
also comes into the circular economy and kind of reusing
exactly. But there
things
is
that have
a
been
lot of back into the shoulder pad situation.
yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
not quite
Oh, I
as
haven't
big
seen
as
them
the
yet,
80s,
but
but yeah,
yeah. So for myself, I have like three rules,
go
like
on.
not too low on the neck, not too high, not too short on the leg, and not too tight on the rest. That's actually what my rules are. So I noticed that I wear a lot of skirts, that I like to wear them like over the knee. I really feel it's nice to have a fabric there. But also I feel, I have t-shirts and I kind of go, no, that skin is a bit wrinkly and it's spotty, and I don't like showing that off anymore. Whereas a younger woman, I was like, it's all tight and good.
So this is going to be a burning question for all three of us. So I still feel at 70 that we can still look sexy. So we don't have to, I don't mean necessarily outwardly sexy with a low cut top, but we have to feel at moments sexy for ourselves.
Ooh, that's a really interesting one. I mean, I have a problem that neither of you have. Well, I have more of a problem than either of you have, in that I have put on weight since menopause. Since I was 45, I had an early menopause. I am much fatter than I used to be. I used to be really proud of my very slim but quite curvy figure, and I used to wear clothes
Well,
that really
lovely. You had a
accentuated that.
lovely figure.
I
Lovely.
did, but it's gone. And I know, I could do more work and stuff like that. But even so, I mean, it is what it is at the moment, and it's not slim. So I feel that is a kind of inhibitor to even to wanting to look sexy, because that becomes not mutton dressed as lamb, but the sort of a kind of inappropriate in a way. And also, and this is an odd thing, I work with a lot of much younger men who are kind of generally in their 40s. And again, I don't feel that looking sexy is the
No,
right.
but I didn't mean, I meant at appropriate moments, not inappropriate
No,
moments.
no, but
We all at some point want to maybe look sexy, not just for ourselves, but maybe for somebody else. So I am working with a client at the moment. So one of the conversations we had, and I very much believe in this, that even if no one else can see our underwear, good fitting underwear, bras very much refitted as we grow older, whether you're 20, 30, doesn't matter, our bodies change. So you need constantly checking that the bra you're wearing works for the bosom
My
size you
husband
need
is
now.
part of the bra police.
Say that again.
My husband is part of the bra police force. He will tell me when he says, your bra, doesn't work anymore. So we call it the bra police. And
Okay.
also when I try something on, I was trying something on Saturday, he wasn't there. And I said, well, I have to really pass this by the bra police, whether this is, becoming or not becoming. Is it becoming? Yeah.
Well, it's not. So there's two things. One, every woman needs to get checked because most women's bras are a back size to, so you needs to fit around your the bosoms are held up around your back your torso
rib
more than your
cage.
straps. So
Yeah.
so say you, for example, you're wearing a size, you're in a different metric system here, but I'm going to go in the British one. Say that if you're wearing a 36C, most women might need a 34 D instead. You go down
We
a,
have the same system here.
okay,
It's an
so down.
incomprehensible system, but
Oh, because
yeah.
sometimes when actually in H&M their underwear they have size 70 or something, and I have no idea what that means. It's in metric.
Oh, it is true, maybe, but we have the ABC and then we have the metric. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so on the
No, but
ABC,
I think invest in good underwear.
yes,
Invest in good bras is a good investment.
exactly. But I'm also saying there's no reason why your underwear cannot make you feel sexy. So you were talking about your husband here. So you can look sexy for yourself. And if you feel sexy, therefore your husband will find you sexy anyway. But if you feel it too, it's a double whammy, isn't it? Because it's exuding from you as much as someone else's perception of you. So you, Lucy, so there's no reason why you can't have sexy underwear that is covering the bits that you don't like so much, you know.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point, I think. Yes, I mean
And I
it's
do think underwear is also the basis of clothes that fit us better because
yeah.
if you're having a bra that isn't holding your bosoms in the right place, then I not your bosoms particularly, but anyone's bosoms.
No, 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 but I think it is a good point. And it's also a point where sometimes I go like, should I tell this friend or this person that I feel they should go and, go to a store where a person can really look at them and fit them with a good bra because it looks very strange. And I have one friend who once told me, she's also part of the bra police. That's how we got the word. It was her word. But yeah, I haven't really crossed that line of saying to a friend, you ought to maybe, do some renewal in the underwear
It's a tricky
department.
one, isn't it?
It is.
It could be, sometimes it could be construed in a different way. It's a bit like sometimes when someone who you think is a really good friend, maybe they're not such a good friend, because they'll come to you, they'll come and see you and they'll go and they'll look you up and down and they'll look at what you're wearing. And you may have felt that you looked really good in what you had on. They'll go, oh, that dress looks wonderful on you, but I'm not sure I could wear it myself because I think it's a little young. But that's a bit like passive aggressive, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Because they're
Yeah.
saying it's a bit too young for them, but they're the same age as you, and then you're thinking, something not quite right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Ceril, do you have any kind of really kind of hard and fast tips, or just, sort of three really useful tips for older, maturer women in terms of looking stylish and cool, either in the shopping or in the wearing or in the mix and matching?
I do.
Oh, good.
Well,
So,
we thought you did. You definitely would have them.
so firstly, don't be a slave to fashion, but don't get stuck in a rut. So just because you've been wearing something that you think suits you for the last 20, 30, whatever years, doesn't mean it's going to suit you now. So sometimes really assess how you look. Be cruel. Really look at yourself in the mirror and assess your best bits. Look at your best bits. Look at all of us women will look at a mirror and only see our worst bits. I want women to look at the best bits. There will be some we can find, even if it's just ankles. It's something. And they
Oh, I think we are so harsh. We're so harsh.
so
I mean,
harsh.
self loves
Men are
really
never
also
harsh like
starts.
this. Never.
This is our body. This is creation. It's a creation. It works all the time. The heart beats 60 times a minute. Isn't it amazing?
Exactly. So embrace who you are now and look at the bits we want to others to be attracted to. It could be the cleavage. I'm not saying get them all out, but there's no reason why I can't have a little bit of cleavage if that's the way you want to roll. Um, it's about dressing to suit your body shape. It's about attracting others to your personality, showing who you are in how you dress. Have some personality. It's fine. You don't have to blend into the background. I had a client once who only wore beige and neutrals. I mean, not neutral black, but literally beige. And I said, why is your whole wardrobe this color? She said, oh, and she was a drama teacher. And I said, how can you be a drama teacher and only wear beige? She said, oh, that's different time when I'm teaching. But my mother always told me I wasn't pretty. So therefore, I wanted to disappear into the background.
What a long shadow.
It's often we are how our
A
parents have.
long
Yeah,
shadow that projects, right?
yeah,
Way we're being raised about our body awareness and
yes. Which is why mothers must never talk to their children about their own weight issues in their minds. You should never talk about, never body shame, never weigh yourself in front of your daughters, all of that, because girls are so impressionable about and picking up subliminally on what we put out, how we eat. Oh, I mustn't eat that. It's too many carbs. Mustn't do that. Mustn't do that. Anyway, I digressed from that. But
still on the golden tips, the golden rules. Yeah.
it's about embracing who you are and and working in your wardrobe to suit your body shape as it is now and using little bits from the high street or designer, however you can afford, that actually enhance the clothes that you have and your body shape, because we want people to look at our best bits and not to look so much at the bits we don't like. So maybe we might live in trousers more if we don't like our legs. Maybe we find a trouser that works for our body shape. Understand whether you're more of a pear shape or an apple shape and dress for that. And often people forget that as their bodies change, they need to adapt their clothes to work for that.
Brilliant. That's those are great tips. I think they're very affirming tips as well. We can all do those.
I'm also going to say that sometimes haircuts can change how we are perceived, and sometimes as we age, this is not at you, Lisette, because you look lovely as you are, but sometimes, particularly in let's go in my case, if I have longer hair, which I'd love to have, it drags down my face, and actually we want to do things that uplift to create, I'm not saying look younger, but create a more youthful appearance. You have lovely bone structure, so it's not affecting you. But for me, it's better to have hair that stops there because it creates a better. So it's about looking at ourselves non-judgmentally, but in a way that we can critique and work with what we have. So it could be glasses that suit our face shapes, working with makeup that actually now suits our skin tones as we are aging, whatever age we are, working with hair color that suits our skin tones, working with makeup that suits our skin tones, choosing a haircut that isn't dragging our face down, choosing clothes that flatter body and that sculpt our body because it's attracting the other's eye to the best bits. Some colors, some patterns will also look better on us as we grow older.
Well, that has been brilliant. Thank you so much, Ceril. That's been such an interesting conversation about so much more than tips for clothes for older women. It's been really, really fascinating, and I hope it's certainly made me think, and I hope it's made everybody think. So thank you for coming today, and
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you both.
It's been an absolute pleasure having you here. So Lisette and I will be back next week. And Ceril Campbell, thank you. Oh, how can people get in touch with you? What's the best way if people want to get in touch with
They
you?
can find me on Instagram at Ceril, Ceril Campbell, Campbell, I can't spell my own name, Campbell, or my website is cerilcampbell.com, and I can be found both ways.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, and goodbye for this week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye.